these words from the prophet Isaiah. But you, Israel, my servant, Jacob, whom I have chosen, the offspring of Abraham, my friend, you whom I took from the ends of the earth and called from its farthest corners, saying to you, you are my servant. I have chosen you and not cast you off. Do not fear, for I am with you. Do not be afraid, for I am your God. I will strengthen you, I will help you, I will uphold you with my victorious right hand. May God add blessing to the reading, hearing, and living of this holy word this day. Thanks be to God.
Oh, good morning, church.
Good morning.
How are you today? Isn't it a beautiful day God gave us to worship?
Yes.
Hard to say anything bad about today. Well, let me think about that. I want to thank your pastor, Pastor Lula, for inviting me to be a part of this worship today. I often get invited to go to churches because it's the 100th anniversary or the 25th anniversary, or we're burning a mortgage or some such thing. But Pastor Lula said to me, just come. No special occasion, except it is a special occasion when we can worship together. And I said, yes, I would love to do that. So I had to do something special because I have a typical, anniversary sermon that I do, and I couldn't use it. But what a joy it is to be here. I've been here for meetings many, many times, but this is the first time I've been invited to preach, I think, so I'm just blessed to be here. Today, as we gather, there are many things that we worry about. I wanted to add to the list of concerns that some of you have heard that there was a devastating earthquake and tsunami in Indonesia, and over 800 people have perished. They are still calling it in some form a rescue, but in many places it is recovery. But it just seems for some reason that the worst disasters sometimes strike in the places where people are least able to cope. So we want to lift up prayers for the people of Indonesia and add that to our list. Now, before I invite you to prayer, I wanted to take just a moment to do a little announcement. It's a word of thank you to you as a congregation. You know that we ask, that the denomination asks of you as a local church to contribute some of your resources to what we call the apportionments. The apportionments have become sort of a bad word, so we have tried not to use it, but I think we ought to just name it for what it is, Except that a friend of mine helped me understand better what apportionments are. He said, of all the money that you put in the offering plate, this is a portion meant for others. Okay, so you send your apportionment dollars to the conference office in Phoenix. People sometimes think it's that bad taxpayer bishop who collects it and does terrible things with it. But I want to assure you that every cent that you put in as your apportionment money goes to help someplace to do ministry and mission in ways that you and I may never fully understand or know. There are people whose lives are being transformed every day because of your generous giving. And as I said, we may not hear about them, we may never meet them face to face, but we do trust that through the United Methodist Church, your reach of love is being extended all over our globe. The people of this church have been generous. In the last 7 years that I checked for your giving record, in the last 7 years, in 6 of them, you have paid 100%. And in that one, you were mighty darn close. So I want to say to you from the very bottom of my heart, and on behalf of the people who you will never meet, who are being transformed because of your generosity, I want to say thank you very much. You are extraordinary in your giving, and we appreciate it. All right, so that was the unsolicited sort of advertisement. It was a thank you. Let me invite you now to be in prayer with me. God-loving Creator, You bless us with a world, precious, precious world. And you invite us to be a part of the caring for that world. We ask that you be with us and that you inspire us with this worship today. Because worship is all about you. Thanksgiving for all you do for us and all you mean for us. And so, oh God, on behalf of your people in this congregation, we lift up this prayer. And I ask that the words of my mouth and the meditations of all of our hearts might be pleasing to you, for you are our rock and our Redeemer. Amen. Well, let me start off with a question. This is a serious question. It's a little silly maybe, but it's a serious question. What are you afraid of? What are you afraid of? You know, if you're brave enough to think a moment about something that you are afraid of, I want you to either share it with me or share it with your neighbor, but all of us, I think, have something that we are deathly afraid of. It might be something as silly as the spider that's crawling on your floor, or it might be something as horrendous as nuclear holocaust. But what are you afraid of? Anybody volunteer something? Snakes. Anybody say amen to that? Amen. Okay, what else? Heights. Who else is afraid of heights? Okay. Yes, anything else?
Bugs.
Bugs. Who's a bug hater? I'll tell you this story. I was preaching at one of our churches. I won't tell you where it was. But in the middle of my preaching, we all noticed that there was a giant bug just crawling along the floor. And people were getting squirmy and uneasy. It was not one of these poisonous bugs, I don't think. But people were getting a little nervous about this bug that was just in worship with us crawling along. And I noticed it, and I said, let's be calm about this. Here is one of God's creatures. That is one of God's creatures that has just come to... One of the people worshiping in the pews dispatched that bug to heaven. She or he did not like bugs and didn't think that bug belonged in worship, even though the bishop was trying to make a way for that bug to find a safe way out of the sanctuary. Some of us are afraid of bugs. I'll tell you what one of the things I'm afraid of. I am a balonophobic person. Balonophobic person. That is, I am afraid of needles. Anybody share that with me? I'm beginning to cringe already because I see the signs around the community that say it's flu shot season. And I'll tell you that when it's flu shot season, my wife and I go together, and I always make her go first. And she paves the way for me by telling the technician, by the way, my husband is an absolute sissy about these things. And please don't get panicky if you see him turn white. And I do turn white. I turn white as soon as he gets the swab out and starts with the alcohol swab. There's a good reason for my phobia. I grew up, when I was very little, I went to a doctor who was, even then, very old. I think he should have retired long before I became his patient, because my parents were his patient. And my grandparents were his patients. I called him Dr. N. Dr. N would come when it was time for an injection with a mask over his face, and he had one of these forceps-looking things, and he would go to this metallic thing that was steaming, and it looked like a little coffin, you know what I mean? He would lift up the lid and go in and get the syringe that he was going to use to impale me. Dr. N would then proceed toward me with an evil gait, and then, and with the help of his wife, who was his technician, screw on the needle, get the vial of whatever he was going to shoot into me, and without any kind of kindness, he would simply aim and shoot. So I became a ballonophobic person. All right. How many of you might be claustrophobic? A fear of enclosed places. Some of you already said you're acrophobic. You have a fear of high places. Some of you might be ballistophobic. That's fear of bullets. Some of you who are here, how many of you are here for the winter? Have come from elsewhere for the winter season? No? You all belong here? Okay.
Yes.
Well, if some people come from the Midwest or the Northeast, you might call them kyanophobic, fear of snow. And also we know xenophobia is fear of the foreigner. And I found another one which is fun, ecclesiophobia. Dr. Rula, you know what that is.
Yeah, that's fear of churches.
Fear of churches! Anybody? Just checking, just checking. Nobody. Okay, Dr. Rula, you're doing a good thing. All right, but fear is a real thing, is it not? Most of us, if not all of us, have a fear of something. In some cases, it's a real fear that has been conditioned upon us by exposure to something, usually negative, which then continues to create fear in a person. Here's another story of my own phobia. When I was very young, I was attacked by a big dog. And since I was attacked by that dog when I was about 3 or 4 years old, I was not really physically hurt, but I was scared out of my wits. And it haunted me for many years. In fact, I am still a little uneasy when I am in the presence of a large dog. If I am approached by a large dog, I might react physically. And it was only because of the care and the concern of my father that I was slowly brought out of that phobia. When I met a dog, I would scoot to the other side of the street to get away from it. Dad would say, no, this dog is okay. When I tried to run away from a large dog, Dad would bring me back and say, holding the collar, this is a good dog. This dog will not hurt you. So slowly but surely, because of the care and the love of someone who wanted to help me to gain courage, I was able to get rid of some of my fear of large dogs. Now, some of you know that I actually love dogs, have a dog, but this dog is one of these fuzzy little things that's 20 pounds. And every day I'm thankful for a small dog that is mine, because I still carry that fear somewhere inside of me of that large dog experience. Fear is real, and it is something that must be cared for if it is to be overcome. Sometimes we can conquer our fears. Often it takes someone to help us to get over our fear, someone in the driver's seat to help us to become more at ease with the things that we fear. And so the scripture text that was chosen for today is a reminder to us that God is with us. God is in the driver's seat, even in the most difficult moments of life. The prophet Isaiah wrote of his trust in God's providence and God's protection in time of trouble or distress. The Bible, the book in the Bible, was written to address the ways in which God cares for us, especially in time of doubt, in time of despair, or anxiety. To those who are afraid, God says, do not fear, for I am with you. Do not be afraid, for I am your God. I will strengthen you, I will help you, I will uphold you with my victorious right hand. These are words that encourage us and give us hope. You know, I see more and more these days another kind of a fear. It's a fear that the dictionary will call chronophobia. It is fear of the future. I see more and more of this fear of the future as I meet with people and as I go around in my daily life. We are in a very strange place in our history as a world and as a nation. As Pastor Rula alluded to, what's happening in our nation's capital is of concern for all of us. What does it say for the future of our democracy? That those who are entrusted with our democracy are at each other's throats. What does it say when people who are charged with making laws, making decisions that are to be made for the good of the people, are instead looking only after their own self-interest? I don't know where our world is headed, but I trust that our future might be brighter if God's presence were made known in places of high power and decision. Fear of the future. Some of you who are retired perhaps have the fear of wondering whether you have enough resources to cover the rest of your days on earth. A recent article in a news journal attests to the fact that clearly 85% of retirees are not quite certain that they will have the resources they need for the rest of their life. That's a cause for fear of the future. How about those of you who are yet in school? When you graduate from high school and enter college perhaps, or trade school, once you finish your schooling, what's the assurance that you have trained for something for which there is a job waiting for you? That's cause for worrying about our future. There are many reasons why we worry and are concerned. The United Methodist Church is facing change, uncertainty in some places, and there is fear about our future. Some may wonder if this United Methodist congregation will remain vital in the years to come. I read somewhere that someone who has been studying the trends in church decline say that a large percentage, over 40% of the churches that now exist, will not be here in 5 years. Now, I don't know if that's true, but it makes me wonder about the future of our church. So this is what I want to say to you. If we understand what God is saying to us, I think we come to the point where we say, in order to remain vital and growing for the years ahead, the important thing for us is to put our focus and our energy on mission and ministry. When you focus all your energy on decisions related to what you can be doing to make Christ's word alive in the world outside, when that is the place where you focus your effort and energy, that is where growth and vitality will take place. The churches that are alive and thriving are those that concentrate their efforts and energies and resources on finding ways to touch the lives of people with the love and generous hospitality that we know so well in the United Methodist Church. So we worry about ways to be in mission and ministry to others, more so than we worry about what color we should paint the sanctuary, what tile we should use to replace the tiles here when the time comes. Those are decisions that are important, but they are not going to contribute to vitality of this church unless we also focus on mission and ministry. You know, for the past 2 years, the Desert Southwest Conference has been engaged in an effort to encourage and promote the high goal of growth and vitality in our churches. As a byproduct of that process, which we call the Initiative for Growth and Vitality, a wonderful vision statement was crafted. using input from the whole conference. And I know that you have heard this vision statement before, because one must only walk outside of these doors to find huge posters that proclaim what the vision statement is. In fact, I wonder, do you think the congregation can say it with me?
I would hope so, Bishop.
It's a hopeful statement. So the vision of our annual conference is that God, and say it with me if you can, God is calling us to be a courageous church, loving like Jesus, acting for justice, and united in hope. Okay, you get a B+ for me. Yeah. But we'll keep working on it. I believe that this congregation does continue to live into that vision because of the many, many things that you are doing to make a difference in your world. Our task is to make sure that the good work of this church does not diminish or disappear. 5 years from now, I'm hopeful, I won't be your bishop anymore, but I'm hopeful that this church will continue to thrive and be a part of this community, alive and well, doing good things guided by this vision statement. In other places, I have said that I have unwavering faith that no matter what happens to our United Methodist Church in General Conference session that is going to happen in February, no matter what happens in February at General Conference, the day after General Conference ends, faithful United Methodist laypersons and clergy will be doing some things of mission and ministry in thousands of United Methodist churches across the globe. There will be outreach for the poor. There will be free meals for the hungry. Generous members and friends of the congregation will be supporting a homeless shelter in the community and a clothing boutique for those who don't have a lot of financial resources. There will be a group that will be filling backpacks that will be given to a school for the students who do not have enough. There will be Bible studies meeting. The United Methodist women will be doing something creative and wonderful. United Methodist men will be getting ready to figure out what the church needs and how men can be brought into ministry. And the youth groups of our United Methodist churches will be planning their next service project or their next mission trip. No matter what happens at General Conference, I trust that there will be United Methodist churches like this one, where the day after General Conference ends, the doors will be open, and members of the church will come in to help clean and gussy up the church. Prayer chains for the homebound and those in need of healing will continue. Our United Methodist Committee on Relief will keep doing all that we do to respond to disasters, and church committees and worship teams will be planning for next Sunday's worship. It will continue to be church for us because that's who we are as United Methodist Christians. In many, many ways, the work of Jesus will continue through faithful United Methodists. Of this, I am certain, because the evidence is right before us, that our pews are filled with people who care deeply about what really matters to Christians, that is, making disciples of Jesus Christ for the transformation of the world. I am certain that this will happen because, with the full assurance from God that God is with us, encouraging us, and supporting us, and loving us, we can do nothing else. We will be always reassured by the words from God. Do not fear, for I am with you. Do not be afraid, for I am your God. I will strengthen you. I will help you. I will uphold you with my victorious right hand, says our God. Let's not be consumed by the fear of the future, because God is with us.